So everybody had finished talking. It was getting late. And Day said, "Oh my gosh, look at the time. I have to rush home." And Helen, Eve, and Chris, those three also said they had to be off real quick. And so those four girls took off, leaving Raven and Esther and Chris with a K. They sat there relaxed. Raven said she didn't have to be anywhere real quick. And Chris said he didn't have to start work for at least an hour. And Esther said, well, she wanted to get home and take care of a few things on her list of things to do and prepare supper for Aunt Brandy. And Esther said, I can take you home right now, Raven, if you want. And Chris spoke up real quick and said, well, if Raven wants, I can take her home. I don't have to be at work for a while. So Esther was amused by this. Chris had always shown a questionable amount of masculinity, but with Raven, he was definitely showing some interest. And so Esther said to Raven, well, you can ride on the back of my bike and freeze while I take you home, or you can ride in that awesome Camry out there and go home with Chris. And Raven didn't think too long, and she said, you know, I love your bike and I want to own one someday, but I'll go with Chris and let him take me home. Esther said, great. So all three got up, left. The first thing Esther did was she went to her father's grocery store and greeted him, gave him a hug, kiss on the cheek, and said she needed to buy some groceries for dinner tonight. And they talked a while, agreed that Mr. Ho was going to have to meet Aunt Brandy at some point because they had much in common. Esther totally agreed. So they chatted a little while. Esther picked up her groceries. She said to her father, I need to start helping with the store. And so Mr. Ho thought and agreed. And he said, well, come this Saturday with Day and she'll show you how the store operates. And Esther was very pleased and said, you know, wonderful, and thanked her father and said she would see him again real soon. And she took off for home. Entering the apartment, she glanced around before going all the way in, making certain nothing had been changed. Everything appeared to be normal, so she walked on in, put the groceries away, and then prepared herself to run her kata. Twice a day, Ester tried making time to exercise. A kata is where you fight imaginary opponents with leg strikes, fist strikes, and different movements. Her katas usually lasted an hour. So Ester changed out of her school clothing and stayed only in some briefs, went to the middle room, and up above the doorway she had already placed her sensei's photo. And from the center of the room she bowed to the photo, showing respect to her and to her master, and then did her routine kata. And she had already set her watch for an hour, and at just before 1 hour's time, after throwing many strikes and movements, kicks, she stopped, paused in the center of the room, took her breath, and bowed again to the photo on the wall, and her alarm went off on her phone. So her kata usually ran 1 hour, always exactly. So Ester went to the shower, her own private shower, which had dual sinks in it, and a big, very big walk-in shower with overhead shower and marble walls. A very nice shower. But before she walked in, she glanced at her back in the mirror to her left, and she could see her dragon, and it made her think of the time that she received the dragon from the tattoo artist, and how the villagers had all pooled enough money to pay for it. Many of the villagers contributed the equivalent of close to a year's wages for them, but they truly wanted to thank her for her part in saving the village, and especially the village leader's daughter. So she glanced at the dragon and thought how beautiful it was and how it had become part of her, and she was very pleased to have it. So Ester took her shower, washed her hair, and afterwards she was drying her hair. She had bought several hair dryers. She wasn't certain which ones would work best, so she bought several different ones. And the first one seemed to work fine, and she thought to herself how her hair grew so quickly, she couldn't believe it. And it was something she wanted to deal with, perhaps a short hairstyle. She wasn't certain what, but she definitely wanted to have shorter hair. So she put some pajamas on, went out to the kitchen, started dinner. She had no plans on leaving for the rest of the night. And Aunt Brandy came home, said, "Oh, the food smelled great." Esther already had great aromas in the house. It was going to be spaghetti and meatballs, and Aunt Brandy, seeing that Esther was already in her pajamas, she went into her room, took a shower, and put on pajamas too, and came back out. And the two of them enjoyed talking for a long time. Esther talked about her day at school, how she had seen Chris York and her new sister that she was very excited about, and the new friends, and she also mentioned that they wanted her to go to a World Organization of Wrestlers professional wrestling match on Thursday night. And Brandy knew all about that. The W.O.W was extremely popular, and she congratulated Esther on having a wonderful day and told her that she would really enjoy Thursday night at professional wrestlers matches. Just a lot of fun. And Esther understood that professional wrestling is a lot of showmanship, and yet these people are very physically fit, and so it can be a risky and hazardous profession. At any rate, Esther and Brandy had a wonderful night in conversation. That was Esther's first school night.